This is Incredible Stories Podcast, Episode 2, Apollo 13's Plutonium Problem.
Gather round now, everyone hear of incredible things. We'll tell you the stories of people we've met and creatures with clockwork and springs.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Zane Wind.
And I'm Josh Virla, and this is Incredible Stories Podcast, where we're bringing you incredible stories involving human achievement, odd history, and the paranormal. All incredible and all true. So Zane, how's it going today? What have you been up to since our last episode?
Everything's going pretty good. I'm a big sports fan. The Falcons actually just beat the Saints last night for Monday Night Football. So John Grudenos was actually he was making the play call, and he was saying some good facts, but he was pretty.
He didn't take the Spartans for the win.
No, he's pretty fair. But he had a good call though. So, but I've been doing good.
Okay.
How you been doing?
Pretty good. I see you at work every day. So
Yes, that's true.
Not too much has happened since the last episode. Just been here doing research for these episodes for our listeners.
Well, I'm sure our audience members really appreciate that. So let's just get everything started. But before we get into the main topic, which for today we will delve into, of course, Apollo 13's Plutonium Problem. Let's do some headlines.
All right, and this is what we like to call listeners Headlines 120, where we have 120 seconds to bring up and discuss each headline for you.
Yeah.
Zane, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I'll go ahead. That's fine. Just tell me when.
All right, and you're on the clock.
All right. World's first baby born using new 3-parent technique.
Ooh.
Yeah, the world's first child was created using a controversial 3-parent system, and she was born in Mexico. This has just been announced. The technique used by Dr. John Zhang of the New Hope Fertility Clinic in New York and his team involved taking the nucleus from one of the mother's eggs containing her DNA and implanting it into a donor egg that had its nucleus removed but retained the donor's healthy mitochondrial DNA. Yeah, a report in the New York Times Magazine said the baby is now about 5 months old. And what the deal is, the parents are Jordanians, and the mother has Lee syndrome, which is a fatal disorder that affects the developing nervous system and would have been passed on in her mitochondrial DNA. So that's why they opted to do this controversial technique. So they're
That sounds very complicated, I must say. But it sounds like it's ripe for a sitcom. My 3 dads or 3 moms.
It's
my two dads and a mom.
It's coming. It's going to be there. It's ripe for parody.
All right. Well, that's time on that one. So,
Nice.
All right. Very good story. Interesting story, Zane. I like it. All right. Well, let me go into mine here. So, Russian geneticist repeats dog domestication with foxes in just 50 years.
Oh, cool.
So, these Russian scientists back in the 1950s began breeding some foxes, and they were trying to replicate the process of dog domestication with them to see if they could make foxes totally domesticated. And in the past, people haven't really been able to do that because foxes are so wild.
Right.
That you can keep them as a pet for a little bit, but they just kind of go off because their wild instincts take over.
Right.
So, but this research team had been able to successfully breed the foxes down to where they seek out humans and they act just like dogs. They wag their tails and they lick people's faces. Oh, yeah, very cute. And that's just in the course of 50 years. So, that's something that I think they're going to continue to develop and try to get foxes down even more domesticated for people. I think they do sell them to individuals to keep their funding going.
Right.
But other than that, it's kind of isolated in Russia.
Okay, yeah, that's really cool. What did the fox say?
He said time's up.
He said time's up. All right. Well, perfect.
All right, on the clock now.
Okay. In growing trend, colleges offer plastic ball pits for students seeking emotional safety. Trigger warning!
Safe space.
So, ball pits for social justice warriors are apparently now a thing on college campuses. The ball pits have popped up at snowflake-friendly campus events at University of Central Florida and Texas Tech University, and will also debut at St. Mary's College of California on October 3rd for their Mental Health Awareness and Campus of Caring Week. Oh my God.
That's soft and warm and fuzzy. It sounds nice. Yeah, I wouldn't jump into any ball pits. I think when we were kids, ball pits were just cesspools of disease and pee and poop.
Yeah, they were gross, but you didn't know at the time, and they were really fun. But I think I'm old enough now, I wouldn't do it because I don't want to look like a little and plus, it is disgusting.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a very good safe space to me, actually, now that I think about it. It just seems gross.
You know what? Let them jump in and let them get sick, all these little Well, end time!
All right, well, you cut that one early, so that's
okay.
good.
Nice.
Very good for you. All right, well, my next one, on the clock. Mystery of colorful giant plants of the sub-Antarctic solved. So, off the coast of New Zealand, there's this island where they call them mega herbs. So they're bigger versions of what is found on the mainland that grow on this island. And the botanists who are studying the island, Campbell Island, they figured out why these plants their flowers are darker and they're bigger than their mainland counterparts, which are paler. So basically, because where they are in the subarctic, they have very limited amount of time where they can gain the energy from the sun because it's cloudy and stuff like that. So they've evolved darker flowers to attract more of the sun's heat when it is out.
That makes sense.
And it's a larger area. So they kind of mimic tropical plants in that sense because in the tropics have a similar situation because of the overgrowth and clouds and rains all the time. So the plants there are larger typically to take more advantage of the sun when it is out.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, because of course, like darker colors, like if you wear a dark shirt and you're outside in summer heat, you're going to get really hot really fast. It's always brilliant, when nature can evolve like that for its surroundings.
Exactly. And that's my time. So if you're interested, check it out.
Nice. Okay.
In our show notes. All right, Zane, you're on the clock for your third headline.
Here we go. Low-speed pursuit as police chase flying saucer. The strange vehicle was spotted zooming around a children's playground in Gorey, Ireland. After a low-speed pursuit, witnesses saw police pull the craft over to discover a very worldly explanation. The flying saucer, in fact, was the work of local artist Ali Camille Ali, which doesn't sound Irish at all, but we'll just go with it, who created the unique piece of art for a youth and arts festival. Mr. Ali, originally from Islington, London, revealed he had roped in police for the stunt to drum up interest in the space-themed arts craft festival. And the vehicle runs on 2 electric scooters and is equipped with a strobe light, smoke machine, and a laser. And, in our show notes, when you click on the link, you can see a little video of this little thing, this little UFO software. It looks pretty good. Just rolling around on the street and just the cops pulling it over. And I thought it was just kind of a fun little story. And just get a little segue into kind of our space theme today.
Oh, well, I will not be segueing into the space theme at all on my third story.
Darn it.
But that's good. That's good. Just keep that one in mind when we go back to mine here.
Okay.
So that's time. And for my final story, ancient Roman coins found in ruined Japanese castle.
Whoa. Wow.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Back on the island of Okinawa, that is the southernmost prefecture in Japan, they found some Roman coins underneath one of the castles there. And what they think happened was that this shows how much trade was going on back in the day between the Japanese, or this island in particular, and the mainland. So China and that area. They don't think they had direct contact necessarily with the Romans, but just through trade, these coins made their way further closer to Japan and eventually made its way into Okinawa. So, yeah, it's kind of neat because they're saying that the coins are at least from 300 to 400 AD.
Okay.
So they're very old,
right.
And it's kind of a mystery, and they're still investigating it, but I thought that was pretty cool. What were the Roman coins doing over there?
I know. I mean, you don't think of that connection, but yeah, with trade and all that, eventually, could definitely get there. Now, so did you say were the coins, they were 380? Like, that's how old they were?
Yes, that was, but that is my time, so I can't go any further, Zane. Unfortunately, I apologize, but I'll talk to you offline about it, I guess.
Okay, all right.
So that's our headlines 120. So Zane, what will you be learning the listeners about today?
Well, Josh, what do you know about NASA's Apollo 13 mission?
Well, aside from Tom Hanks, socks, and Houston, we have a problem, I know it involved a manned mission to the moon, but there was a mechanical failure, and the astronauts had to scrap their mission and barely made it back to Earth alive.
That is correct. I'm glad you remember the movie with Tom Hanks really well. Good job.
I remember Kevin Bacon did have some frontal going on in that movie as well for some reason.
You would remember that. But the story actually doesn't just end with the astronauts coming back alive. Something else came back to Earth with them.
Aliens?
Now, that would have been truly incredible, but also incredibly terrifying. But the actual thing that came back to Earth with the Apollo 13 crew also in itself could have been very terrifying for us humans. As Apollo 13 neared Earth for re-entry, the astronauts had to purposefully detach several modules of their spacecraft to make re-entry possible. But in one of those modules that was discarded, left to burn in the atmosphere, was a graphite fuel cask containing 3.9 kilograms of plutonium.
Oh my, that sounds incredibly harmful. And terrifying, I will say.
Yes.
Well, to interject for our listeners real quick, a cask is a container shaped like a barrel that is used for holding liquid. But you know, the plutonium, Zane, I'd love to go and see if I could grab that and put it in my DeLorean time machine.
Oh yeah, you want to go with Marty, go back in time, or would you want to go forward? What's your preference?
Oh, geez, I think I'd go forward in time.
Future?
Forward, absolutely future, yeah.
Yeah, see how far we've come, or maybe how far we've fallen. Maybe maybe one of those other casks of plutonium have crashed in, nuclear wasteland. Who knows?
Mad Max style.
Mad Max. Ooh, that in itself might be kind of fun. Well, thankfully, no one, not even Doc Brown, has been able to retrieve this specific cask or container of plutonium. But I'll get to that little nugget in a few minutes. Let's give a recap to the audience on what actually happened during the Apollo 13 mission that led to this little-known story of this missing container of plutonium crashing into Earth.
T minus 20 seconds and counting. 17 guidance. Release 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8.
Ignition sequence has started.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Lift off.
The clock is running.
Okay, P11, Jim.
Yaw program.
Clear the program.
Clear the tower.
Yaw complete roll program.
Houston. Roger. Roll.
13, Houston, go at 30 seconds.
Roll complete, and we are pitching.
Roger that. Stand by for Mode 1 Bravo.
Roger that. Stand by for Mode 1 Bravo.
Mark.
1 Bravo.
1 Bravo.
RCS command.
13, Houston, go at 1. We show the cabin relieving.
13, Roger.
13, Houston, stand by for Mode 1 Charlie.
Mark.
You're 1 Charlie.
Mark.
1 Charlie.
And 13, you are go for staging.
Go for staging. Roger, we're EDS manual.
Copy that.
Inboard.
We confirm. Inboard out. 13, you're looking good.
Roger.
S2 ignition.
Roger.
13, Houston, trajectory is good. Thrust is good.
Roger.
Skirt, SEP, tower, jet.
We confirm SCET, SEP, Roger, tower, jet, mode 2, Jim, looking good.
Mode 2.
Guidance initiate.
13, Houston, guidance is good, and the CMC is go.
Okay, thank you.
13, Roger.
13, Houston, you are go at 4 minutes. The little red lines are right on the little white lines down here.
Sounds good.
13, Houston, coming up to 5 minutes. You're looking perfect. Over. But of course, this mission would end up being far from perfect. As many of you know, Apollo 13 was the 7th manned mission in NASA's Apollo space program, and the 3rd intended to land on the moon. So everything at this point, pretty much NASA felt like, okay, we're confident We've already had 2 manned missions that were a success. We feel like this is just, it's routine now. So
Did
really,
you find out, Zane, why they called it Apollo 13 as opposed to Apollo 7? What is that? I didn't see that. I'm sure there's people.
I didn't
know
look that up. Yeah,
Oh.
we'll have to. So did it like switch from like Apollo 7, then it jumped to Apollo 13? Was that the deal? Is that what
You
you're
know,
saying?
I don't know. I feel grossly uninformed about the space mission naming policy. But please continue.
We'll have to put that in the show notes for our information and for your information, listeners. Yeah, that's interesting, and I don't know why you would even pick 13 in the first place with all that negativity around it.
I know.
That's
right?
a good. It's a good question. But again, this was the third intended mission to land on the moon, and the craft was launched on April 11th, 1970, exactly 13:13 Central Standard Time from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And the crew consisted of Commander Jim Lovell, Command Module pilots Kevin Bacon, Jack Swigert, and Lunar Module pilots, damn, I forgot his name. Anyways, Fred Hayes.
Paxton?
Yeah, Bill Paxton, yes.
Yeah.
I was on a roll, then I failed.
Sorry.
Just like this mission. But anyways,
Zane 13.
so, yeah, Zane 13. Actually sounds kind of cool. Sounds like some sort of like B-level horror movie or something like that.
Yeah. Starring Xanios.
Starring Xanios, yes. Not Xanios the bitch, but Xanios the afraid.
Exactly.
I don't know.
But yeah, with all the 13 numbers, like NASA was really gunning for, I guess, the superstition or something with 13s in there, naming it
Maybe
13th and 1313 with the launch time. What's that?
Oh,
what's the
yeah. I didn't even notice that until now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my god, that's incredible. Yeah, I guess they didn't have a fear of the number 13. What's that called? Triskaidekaphobia, I think, is the fear of the number 13.
Something that has phobia in it. Yeah, that's all I
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I believe that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But continue.
Okay. Well, that boggles my mind. I didn't even know it's 1313. Anyways, well, the launch itself went without any major hitches. But 56 hours into the mission, that's when Apollo 13 had their little problem.
Houston, we have a little problem.
Yes, just a slight one. So Houston flight controllers at this point, they were just doing some routine just checkups as they were, slowly making their way towards the moon. And the Houston flight controllers, they asked Zwigert to turn on the hydrogen and oxygen tanks in the service module. And 2 minutes later, the astronauts heard a loud bang.
Like Nicki Minaj bang, like bang, bang, bang it, bang, bang.
I think they would be a little less intimidated if it was that type of bang.
I know either way would be frightening in space, I think.
Yeah.
At what point, though, Zane, do you crap your pants, your space pants? I mean, I'm crapping my pants on the launch right away before at the start of the mission. But while you're inside this capsule and you hear that, like, what do you do? I mean, are you brave enough to be in that module?
That's like a question I always like to pose to my friends. Like a similar one, like, would you rather be in space in the module or be in a submarine all the way, in the ocean?
Ugh.
And I feel like for me, I would rather be in space. At least, like, hopefully I can see Earth and just see how beautiful it is. But when you're in the bottom of the freaking ocean, it's just dark and just can't. There's nothing. Just nothing.
It seems like no win anyway.
No win. Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm sure of course, they're very well trained for any emergency. But yeah, when you hear a loud pop, and NASA's only been around for so long, and it's like, well, our ships probably aren't that great. We're still kind of figuring this thing out. It's got to be pretty terrifying,
Well, was there anything else that happened after the bang?
Well, this bang by Nicki Minaj. It was followed by their electrical systems going haywire, and their control thrusters, they started firing. So basically the ship started spinning out of control, and they had to pretty much manually adjust it and get it back in sync with their orbit and their trajectory towards the moon. Because, when you're going space, with no gravity, nothing to withhold your trajectory, you'll just keep flying. So all the trajectory has to be perfect, all the math. And like, that's amazing to me that they had to figure that out on the fly. How do we get back into our true path towards the moon?
That seems like too much math for me too.
I'm not good at math, and so props to them. It's pretty incredible. That I think it was at that point when I realized I had to do math in space. That's when
That's when you crap your pants.
That's when that would be it.
Well, I guess they have a high standard for astronauts. Not just anybody can be an astronaut.
No, unfortunately not. Well, during this part, so of course they were kind of flying out of control for a bit before the crew was able to get the ship back into its main course. During this point, fuel levels began to drop, and Lovell, he reported seeing outside one of the windows, that the craft was venting a gas of some sort, and this turned out to be
Tom Hanks.
It turned out to be Tom Hanks. He was, remember, he was just like, Houston, there's some sort of gas leaking out. It's very dramatic.
How convenient. Just blame it on the spacecraft.
Yeah. But Tom Hanks noticed that there was gas, and they figured out that one of the O2 tanks was leaking, and this was severely depleting their oxygen supply. So all these leaks were occurring in the command module, which is kind of in the middle of the ship. Mm-hmm. And so this forced the crew to kind of shut down this module because it was screwing up with all their reserves that they would need, because already at this point they figured out pretty quickly that they had to pretty much abandon the mission, which was heartbreaking, but it needed to be done if they wanted to save their lives. And what they needed to do was they had to shut down this module because they needed to save the power to for the lunar module to be used as a lifeboat while they kind of conserve their oxygen, their O2, their food supplies, because really they actually didn't have enough food to go more than 24 hours to 48 hours. Everything was supposed to be just a strict schedule, and that was it. And now they're in a dire situation.
Man, I freak out when my smartphone loses power.
Yeah, I mean, I freak out myself, and a lot of people do as well. I mean, they're all pooping their pants when their frickin' phones are dying.
Oh yeah.
But they couldn't handle this situation. But thankfully, with the availability of this lunar module, they were able to stay in there for most of the trip, and this allowed them to survive. If there wasn't any type of lunar module attached, this mission would have been deadly, within hours of this event.
And wasn't the lunar module wasn't supposed to stay attached, right? That was supposed to be something that would have been jettisoned on the moon if their mission would have went through like it was supposed to be.
Right. The lunar module had all sorts of it had, of course, landing pads on it that had jets on it for it to just kind of navigate onto the moon. It had all their supplies for landing, for doing experiments and all that. So yeah, that was supposed to be detached, and when they got on the moon, that was most of the craft was going to be left there. Mm-hmm. But thankfully, because when Houston and the crew realized that they had to come back, they needed to have the module with them to convert it to a lifeboat. So, like I said, they decided the best option was to come back, and to do this, the safest and fastest option was to go towards the moon, pass around it, which was must have been really depressing towards for these astronauts, because this was their whole mission. This is what their dream was for who knows how long.
Only a handful of people have actually been on the moon, and you're slated to go. Yeah. And then you can't. I mean, it's you're so close, and it's
you pass it, it's right there, and you're like, oh, see you later.
Yeah. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. So they had to make that hard call, and it was really hard for them. But so what they did is they used the moon's gravity to slingshot back towards Earth. And like I said, this was the best maneuver to use due to their rapidly dwindling oxygen and power levels. And on approach to Earth, the Apollo 13 crew had to jettison, as they got closer, this is when they actually had to jettison both the service module and the lunar modules. Now, the lunar modules, like I said, it was the one they used to kind of it was their lifeboat, is where they had most of their oxygen their water and the food supply. But for this, they had to get back, move back into the ship because the service and lunar modules were going to be ejected into the Earth's atmosphere. But as the astronauts dangerously descended through the Earth's atmosphere in the command module, NASA began to worry about more than just the astronauts. In the previously discarded lunar module, do you remember, Josh, when I said that they had a lot of experiments they wanted to run on the moon?
I do, yes.
These experiments were all going to be powered by a SNAP-27 radioisotope thermoelectric generator. That's RTG. And this generator contained 3.9 kilograms of radioactive plutonium.
Well, that sounds mighty frightening.
Yes, and mighty exciting for Doc Brown.
Yes, my DeLorean would eat that for breakfast.
But, it's difficult to say. I'm sure the crew, they knew when they had to jettison, they're like, well, I'm sure they discussed with Houston, like, all right, well, here's another issue right now for, down on Earth. Hopefully this module will crash. I mean, most Earth is ocean,
right.
Water, so hopefully it'll just crash in the ocean. And, this container full of plutonium won't hit a populated area.
Well, hopefully.
Hopefully not. So officials from NASA, kind of later past this time, told the New York Times that the biggest risk was that the 40-pound generator, of course, might hit a populated area, with the hopes that it would crash in the sea. One NASA official kind of joked in a dark way, I'll keep the fish warm. And it's like, okay, like, doesn't really...
And I will say at this time, too, I did reach out to NASA for a comment on this.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And, they did not respond. So, surprise, they didn't respond to an up-and-coming podcast about weird stuff.
I don't know why. You feel like, that type of thing would be very... easy to talk about. There'd be no PR, problems.
It's like, we're credible, right? At this point, I think. We got one episode under our belt, so I think we know what we're doing, NASA. Give us a call. Although I'm probably on a list now, so whatever.
I mean, they're probably looking at you with a little camera on your laptop, looking at you right now.
I tape that over.
Oh, okay, that's very smart. Good job. You must have watched like that Snowden movie or whatever. Good job.
I've been doing it before Snowden.
Oh, okay. Well, damn. That's right. You are kind of a prepper, like for any scenario, aren't you?
I just like being prepared and ready.
That's good. I need to get better into that. Like, I have some stuff in my trunk, maybe a sleeping bag and a tent. That's about it. I need to step up to your level.
You really do.
Yeah. In case something like this happens, where pretty much a meteorite full of plutonium is heading towards Earth.
Oh, no!
Thankfully, though, this container, 3.9 kilograms of plutonium, thankfully it crashed in the South Pacific Sea in the Tonga Trench.
Oh, phew.
Yes, so
Tonga.
They were right. That most
what is Tonga? What's Tonga? All they got are oiled up Olympians, right?
Oiled up Olympians, yes. That was one of the.
That's their main export.
He could have been an ideal candidate for the band of thieves. Like, he looked like he would be.
Oh, he did, yeah.
He did.
Yeah, he was quite impressive.
Quite dashing. But yeah, so this container crashed in the Tonga Trench. And so as of now, there have been no repercussions from that. The Atomic Energy Commission, they commented on this and conceded that, yes, if it did hit the ground in a non-populated area, like let's say it hit the desert, then yes, there would be some radiation that would disperse. But as long as, like, the NASA engineers, they design these capsules to either burn up, or if they landed, like, there wouldn't be much casualty to the nature environment, or any, God forbid, any human environment.
Or so they say.
There's always going for that PR thing.
Yeah, well, I did also, Zane, I did reach out to the Kingdom of Tonga for a comment as well. And surprisingly, they did not get back to me.
I don't get this, man. Like, what?
I know. I was like, Tonga, I know you don't get a lot of press anywhere, and I'm giving you some attention. hook me up with some quotes directly.
And we're called Incredible Stories Podcast. I feel like that shows like some significance, some merit, you know.
We are incredible, and your story is incredible. And Tonga, for you listeners, is a Pacific island it's kind of east of Australia, north of New Zealand. But it's like one of the southernmost islands in Polynesia.
Well, actually, speaking of kind of like PR and credibility, NASA's actually had to deal with this scenario before. In 1964, 6 years before this Apollo 13 mission, the Transit 5BN mission was aborted, and the RTG, that's the container full of this type of plutonium used for a fuel source, it burned up upon reentry above Madagascar.
Oh.
So
you don't hear about these a lot.
No, you don't. You know, all these like fallen, pretty much rocks full of plutonium. I want to call it like
these nuclear meteors. They don't talk about that.
NASA. But thankfully, public demands this information, so we get it. But thankfully, nothing tragic has happened
that we know of.
Yeah, that's true. Who knows? Maybe some incredible story we can find out, or some incredible conspiracy we can look into. But NASA, of course, was like, "Oh, well, yeah, this this mission in 1964, the RTG burned up. That was part of the design. That's it's fine. Let's completely ignore the fact that you had, a burning meteorite, pretty much of plutonium. Let's just ignore that. It's okay. It's fine."
Nothing to see here, folks. Move along.
Nothing to see here. But actually, traces of plutonium were found in the area months later. But
this is in Madagascar or back in Tonga?
Madagascar. So it's just affecting all those silly. The animals can talk now. You see that movie? Yeah. So like this.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe that's why they can talk now. Is because of this. Madagascar, the movie, true story.
So that's the only maybe. This grain of truth or a grain of evidence we can find that these RTGs are affecting the wildlife. Who knows? But wait, Josh, there's more.
What?
In 1968, so that's 2 years before Apollo 13, the Nimbus B-1 weather satellite was aborted soon after takeoff from Vandenberg Air Force Base, and the plutonium from the SNAP 19B2 RTG plunged into 300 feet of water off the California coast.
Whoa, Zane, California, that's close to us.
That's very close to us, with no release of radiation.
Oh, sure, okay.
So
that we know of.
Okay, NASA's, I guess you're...
I'm not liking their track record here of these things happening.
Yeah, I mean, you've done some amazing things, NASA, but you definitely had some unfortunate, glaring flaws in your history as well. But going back to the specific container that was jettisoned, off the Apollo 13 spacecraft upon reentry. Over the years, this plutonium container has been far out of sight. There's been two kind of opposing positions on the safety of RTGs. Really? I didn't... What? Who's concerned? Oh, come on.
I put it on my cornflakes.
Yes. It's got some good antioxidants, something like that. But for NASA, of course, its safe return, specific return of this RTG, just shows its effectiveness. Yeah. It did. So
it's safe.
But in 1997, a group of safety experts, including physicist Dr. Michio Kaku. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Get with it, Zane. Michio Kaku.
I don't know.
And I will also say, Zane, I did reach out to Michio Kaku one time.
Oh, what did he say?
Before this story, I was interested in I wanted him to illustrate one of his theories on a napkin for me and send it back to me. That's a true story.
Wait, it is? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It is.
Oh, that's awesome, actually.
Yeah, I think I wanted him to illustrate Schrodinger's cat on a napkin and send it to me.
Did he respond?
Surprisingly, he did not.
Oh, okay.
This was before Incredible Stories podcast fame, so maybe I should try again.
Well, third time's a charm. Well, obviously not. Well, let's keep going. Like, each episode we'll try to maybe reach out and see where we can get, That's hilarious, though. I didn't know that. That's funny.
Yeah. Still waiting, Michio. Mr. Kaku, Dr. Kaku.
Dr. Kaku. Sorry, I mispronounced his name.
Yes.
But he himself, he warned that these kilograms of plutonium and these separate, incidents, they can pose a great danger that NASA should acknowledge. But, as of this point, this history is kind of, because there hasn't been like such terrible events with these RTGs that have been jettisoned a few times in NASA's history, you don't hear much of these type of news events. And that's why we thought it was kind of like pretty incredible story. I mean, yes, Apollo 13's mission. It was already incredible itself. I mean, you had three astronauts barely make it back alive in 1970, and kind of like a fledgling space program. They made it all the way to the moon and back, and that was incredible. But
you haven't heard about this side of things.
I haven't heard about that, and thankfully, hopefully the fish are doing okay. Maybe they've gained another eye or another fin, who knows, in Tonga. But
no one goes there.
Yeah, no one goes there. So I think we're okay for now. But that is Apollo 13's little mystery with its RTG and plutonium problem. Any thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, I like that story. I never really heard of that aspect of its missing plutonium. The movie doesn't talk about that really, and of course, obviously, NASA doesn't want to talk about these incidences because, it could freak a lot of people out. Mm-hmm. But, from my research, it seems that, essentially they're built pretty well, so there's not a lot of danger in them because they're engineered well. But I think I also read that NASA isn't really, they don't really do the RTG so much anymore with those nuclear or the plutonium fuel, just because they could pose a problem. So they kind of stay away from them. I think, what was the last thing that they did? Was it the Cassini?
Yeah, and actually, Dr. Kaku, he talked about it too. He warned that 32 kilograms of plutonium contained in the Saturn-bound Cassini satellite that posed a great danger. Mm-hmm. A greater danger than NASA would acknowledge.
Right. Okay. So I think that was the last spacecraft that they used the RTGs in, or maybe one other one since then. But they try to stay away from it. Yeah. Which is smart, But what about the astronauts though? That heartbreak, from Apollo 13 of going to the moon, and I think we touched on it a little bit earlier, but. I mean, if you were on that mission, would you just be depressed your whole life because you didn't actually get to go on the moon, or just so thankful that you made it back alive? I mean, I'm sure, I'd be thankful, but it's just a little part of me would be like, man, I just, God, missed out.
I think it would definitely be a little bit of both. And I read that Lovell, this was like his third mission in space. And so this was like, third time's a charm. I'm going to make it on the moon. These are other just like, going in orbit missions. And now he's going to the moon. Of course, didn't work out. And the other two astronauts, these were their first and last missions. And so, that's it. Like, I'm sure all of them were just, amazed with themselves, their fellow crewmates, and then, the people on the ground in Houston for, saving their lives and, keeping the composure and like, wow, we actually made it through this. But yeah, every night you go outside, you're these crew members, and you look out and you see that moon. You're like, oh my God, I was so close. I passed by it.
Yeah. Well, that's more than most people can say, I guess. So yeah, good on them. And and you have a cool story to boot. So
yeah.
But yeah, the nuclear stuff off the coast of Tonga. Do you think that'll ever be recovered?
I don't think so. NASA, they've talked about it publicly, and they said basically, yes, the technology's there for, a submersible mission to look around the Tonga Trench, but it seems like they said like, we don't have the funds for this, or
it's not cost effective.
It looks like it out of a lot of places on Earth, deep in the like cool waters of like in the ocean, that's probably a good place for it. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's kind of really far out of danger, and even if it did happen to leak, I guess it's going to be so dispersed, it's not going to really bother anybody.
Yeah.
That is, of course, if it is in fact where it is, they say it is. So, who knows?
It's in Atlanta.
No! Well, they do have bombs off the coast of... Isn't there a nuclear bomb off the coast of South Carolina? I believe there was one.
Yeah. I heard about that. Well, was it from like a sunken, or which kind of sub was it?
No, it's from a plane. It dropped it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they found it recently, but I don't know. Maybe that's a story for another time, listeners.
Okay. Well, yeah. So that's that is the little mystery there with Apollo 13 that a lot of people know about. But I say we move on to haikus.
Let's show them how it's done, Zane.
I will let you go first, Josh.
Oh, okay. So, I prepared 3 haikus, but I don't know. We'll see how they go if I want to do all 3 of them. So, my first haiku. Under Tonga Sea, nuclear power is better. Down where it's wetter.
That's awesome. That's a good one. I like that one a lot.
That's I wanted to put more in it, but it's like I had to follow the format.
You couldn't. No, I liked it, but I got it immediately. So
Thank you.
It put a smile on my face. I appreciated that.
All
you
right,
had, you had a good little Jamaican accent there. So that's
what I do. It was Tonga.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, okay.
We've established we're not good with our accent regionals.
No, but I really appreciate it. All right. I will go for my first one.
Okay.
Failed trip to the moon leaves nuclear cask in the sea. Aquaman is born. The radiation gave him powers. I don't know.
Yeah, I did not see that one coming. That was good. All right, my next one is Tonga has oiled guy and also nuclear fuel.
Oh man.
Let me start that one over.
Okay.
Tonga has oiled guy and also nuclear fuel.
Go on.
Oh yeah, I can't. All right. Well, one more time. Third time's the charm.
Third time's the charm. We said it a lot tonight.
Yeah. Tonga has oiled guy and also nuclear fuel. The fish taste crispy.
Oh my god. I like it.
Oh man, I don't know why I couldn't get that one out. That was humorous to me.
It worked.
You got oil and nuclear fuel. You got crispy fish, of course.
Yes, sounds good. It's gotten me hungry already.
There you go.
That's funny. Okay, so I only had 2, so this is my last one.
Okay.
But okay, here we go. Tom Hanks flies spacecraft. Tom Hanks crashes said spacecraft. Don't fly with Tom Hanks.
That was good.
In general, I feel like you should never travel with Tom Hanks in general. Like, he's crashed a spacecraft, a regular plane, or twice in a plane. One, he got marooned on an island.
Yeah.
One, he crashed on the Hudson River.
No, yeah, he's not a good travel companion. That's for sure.
Like, if I saw him on a plane or a bus or any mode of transportation, I'd be like, I'm out. Nope, not gonna. As much as I like Tom Hanks,
Hanks.
Not a good travel buddy.
That's true. All right, I like that one. That was good. All right, I'll do my third one since I got it.
Okay.
I don't know why I did 3, but I was feeling singy, I guess.
You had the music playing. You had the candle going. I got it.
Yeah, music. Just once you get on Haiku Road, you just can't stop.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's the third one. Oops, I dropped again. NASA, we have a problem. Is Tonga our friend?
That's good. Man, yeah, you're going with the music tonight pretty much.
Yeah, I'm feeling magical.
You got Disney and you got Britney Spears. I like it. That's good.
There you go. And that's how you do haikus.
All right.
All right, well, that's our show. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at IncredPod. Check out our site, IncredibleStoriesPodcast.com. Send us a note, and feel free to check out our show notes where we'll have all our news links in there.
Lots of links.
For Incredible Stories Podcast, I'm Josh.
And I'm Zane.
And remember, the journey of 1,000 tales begins with the first word.
Peace!
Gather